Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I just stayed over in Detroit to be here for this particular occasion. Fortunately or unfortunately, I've become a criminal justice expert. Not just because of my time in prison, but also because as a mayor, I hired police chiefs. I had to understand police action and police strategy. I had to understand community policing relations. I had to understand crime stats and how they move in the city, but also how we engage the community in a different way other than just patrol and arrest. I then had experience with county jail systems, where over 9 million people every year cycle in and out of these systems, sometimes daily. More than 1 million people cycling out of these systems around this country. Then I had the unpleasant fortune of being in a state prison. I went to a level 4 prison at the Oaks and also to Cotton facility. And I had to communicate with men that I would have never met and never had a conversation with, but for the experience that I had in the state prison. And then I had the unfortunate yet tremendously fortunate situation to be in federal prison. And so I was able, Darryl, to see the difference between the MDOC and the Federal Bureau of Prisons. And the difference was hope. At the foundation of what's the difference between state prison and federal prison is hope. People in federal prison believe that they can get out. So they take programs to make sure that they can reduce their time. They have strategies going in to take horticulture or auto mechanics or the drug program or different things where they can get credits to actually get back out. And you know what happens to them while they're taking those things? They actually get certified in those programs. And when they walk out, they have opportunities on the street. You have people that are coming out of federal prison making $50,000, $60,000 when they hit the street because there's hope there. The difference in Michigan, where people have been in prison, some since they were 13, 14 years old. Absolutely. You meet men that are there at 30 that have been there since they were 15. My first cellie was 25 and he had a life sentence and had already been there 7 years when I got there. I had an 18-month sentence and they put me in a maximum security prison. I think they wanted me to learn some stuff. And I did. Even before my time in state prison, I spent a lot of time at Ryan with Darryl, Stan Nelson, and going over there to speak every year and really understanding what that issue was. And being a legislator, I came, and being the mayor, I came back. If you don't offer hope to people in prison, right, then you're creating a society of people that you all hear about every day on your news stations. They're human beings. Darryl represents not just the best of what's there, but he represents a lot of brothers and sisters who are behind those bars. 3 of my cellies in the federal system were lifers. They're all out of prison. 2 of my cellies in the state were lifers. They're still there because there was so-called truth in sentencing. But with that truth didn't come any mercy. And Jesus was 100% grace, yes, and 100% truth.
Yes.
And so if we're gonna offer truth, we must find a way to offer grace.
Yes.
Offer an opportunity for young men and young women to work, build themselves, and get out of prison and make a life for themselves. Remember, most of these people, when they get behind bars and are trapped by that system, they have children. They have families. A great deal of them have families who care about them. But growing up in these streets and in these neighborhoods, they are absolutely blessed to get to a prison and meet a Darryl Woods or a Kwame Kilpatrick or somebody that says, you're a knucklehead, let's get in this classroom and figure out how to get you better. But what is the incentive for a 22, 19-year-old boy who comes in there, who comes in there and has a 20-year sentence, and you tell him there's absolutely no way he can work that down.
Wow.
He's already thinking about how long he has to be there. Then the negative, the devil lives everywhere too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The negative influences of gang life and savagery, they're there too, and telling them every day, you got 20 years, bro, you're gonna be here, let's get into this. So real life examples are better sometimes than white papers. I know that there are a lot of people in this room, I've just met a few, but I've had a lot of relationships with others that have looked these men and women in the eye and talked to them. They just looking for hope. They're looking for people who they haven't come out and said we're innocent. They're coming out saying we just need another chance.
Yeah.
Their moms are begging for another chance for their son. Their wives are begging for another chance for their husband. Mothers are trying to be reconnected to their children. And I'm absolutely stepping up on behalf of those people. It's been a long time since I've been in front of the press. But this issue drags me out. It almost makes me want to cry. I just simply end with this and say, in the letter that Paul, the apostle, wrote to the Galatian church, he just vociferously states something that I love. He says, you have been called to liberty. Then he says something else, and Daryl understands what he said because he's doing it now. He said, but do not use your liberty to indulge the flesh, but serve one another in love. Because all the law is consumed by this one commandment. Love your neighbor as yourself. What this organization and all the organizations that have come together are they attempting to love their neighbors as they would love their own selves, their own sons, their own daughters, their own husbands, their own wives. And we're asking this community that enough is enough. If you want to have truth politically, then let's have souls and have grace as well.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Open up now for a few questions for our former mayor.
Wow, that's for somebody else. There we go. Any questions? I got to go.
Mayor, what would your message be to the people of the city of Detroit? I mean, you recently got married, you have a baby on the way. This is your first opportunity that you've really been public speaking with people. Do you have a message for the people of the city of Detroit? Might be curious what you have to say after these years.
You know, I did a couple of interviews and talked about that. I would rather today keep it focused on this issue. So what I would say to the people of the city of Detroit is you're not alone. That some people are coming together to advocate for your son, to advocate for your daughter, to advocate for you. There are a lot of people in Ryan Mound over at the facility. There are a lot of people even in as far as Jackson that'll be watching this press conference. And I need for them to know that there is hope. That God has inspired not just ministers and pastors, but also community leaders and advocates to say, we want to help you get the opportunity to be the man and the woman that you always dreamed that you could be. And even Kwame came from Atlanta to be a part of this, because this is more important than any political conversation we're having. This is more important than any type of what Kwame doing in our stories. This is about taking a man out of the same pit that I sat in. I sat where they sat. I sat where they sat, and I always had hope, even when I was being denied by every court known to mankind. I knew that there was something going to happen for me, but I wasn't in a system that says you're going to do this time right up until the last day. I was in a system that offered that hope. So I took programs that I would have got out way before the time anyway, because of the amount of classes and programs that I was taking. But there are people in the state system here in Michigan that don't have the same opportunities. So I would say, Detroiters, you're not on your own. You're not fighting for your baby by yourself. There are other people who sat where your baby has sat, and we're helping you, and we're here, and we're fighting for you.
Mayor, Mike Campbell. I don't know whether to call you mayor,
No.
Reverend, Mister.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a lot of people going, why should we take this message from Kwame Kilpatrick, who went to prison for the crimes in Detroit?
You know what, this is probably the only issue that those people who got a problem with everything, this is the one I know about. If they are upset with taking a message, we tell them to turn the TV off.
There you go.
But if they want to hear some truth, if they really care about people, then it shouldn't be about Kwame Kilpatrick. What we know that in our community, there are people who wouldn't help if you had a gun to their heads.
That's right.
But we also know that Detroit, man, this community, I've been all over in the last 6 months. There's no place like this that lends their hearts to issues like this where people are hurting. Jesus talked about the least of these, and one of those groups were people who were locked up in prison.
Yes.
Did you visit them? Not just go by and say hi, but did you visit them to help them understand that there's hope on the outside working to get them out? And I think that's the message. The message is not really about Kwame as much as it is that Kwame was on his knees on January 19th. And he was praying that the heart of the king would be turned by the Lord. And it happened. And I know in all of these MDOC prisons, there are men and women on their knees praying that God would send somebody to help them. And I just want them to know that their prayers are being answered.
Amen. That's right.
That good? Glory to God. See y'all later.